Markle is no stranger to launching a business venture at this point. She's pretty much covered all the bases. We've had the Netflix deal, the Spotify deal. She's launched As Ever, which was previously American Riviera Orchard. She also had her own business way before she became the Duchess of Sussex, when she launched her lifestyle website, The Tig. But Meghan has now admitted that some of those business ventures were extremely lonely. She was speaking in the finale of her new podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, and she opened up about why she decided to partner with Netflix when it came to the launch of her brand As Ever.
When you only have yourself to answer to, I think it's twofold. It can be incredibly liberating. It can be incredibly lonely.
Now, Meghan talked very much about the fact that she appreciated the way in which Netflix handled its other consumer goods launches. I'm sure all of the money that Netflix has had nothing to do with why she chose to partner with them. But she also did mention that going it alone has been very lonely for her in the past, that she's had some very lonely business experiences, and she felt that she would be better placed to launch a new brand successfully if she was working with other people who had expertise in different areas. So essentially what Meghan said is that she's getting the best of both worlds, because yes, she's heading up her own business. She is the founder of As Ever, but reading between the lines here, she was almost hinting that yes, she's the founder, but she's not the one who has to take the blame if the whole thing flops. That's obviously not what she said verbatim, but she was saying that it's kind of a twofold experience. The position that she's now in with Netflix is that she's at the head of her company, but she has a parent company above her filled with people who have been in the game a lot longer than she has, who can advise her on how to do different things. So she's got the benefit of being the boss, but also has the benefit of turning to mentors who work within Netflix should she need help, guidance, suggestions, whatever else it may be. She also has the added benefit, of course, of having her reality show with Netflix, With Love Meghan. That's kind of provided her with an additional platform on which to launch As Ever. It's certainly no coincidence that Meghan launched With Love Meghan. It premiered to mixed reviews, shall we say, on Netflix, but it meant that Meghan was in every single headline on the planet, just as she was preparing to launch As Ever and just as she was preparing to launch her podcast. So even though Netflix isn't actively involved in her podcast, in a way, they kind of have a backseat to that action too. Meghan has had a number of business ventures, some of which were very short-lived. Now, she talked about business being a lonely experience, at least in her past endeavors. And I can't help but wonder whether some of that is because she's gone through some fairly rough times. We had her Spotify podcast that lasted just a few episodes before Spotify decided to cut it loose, simply because it wasn't being listened to by as many people as the streaming giant has expected. Now, she had The Tig back in the day, which was semi-successful. It was at a time when Meghan really wasn't that well known. She was a kind of C-list actress starring in Suits, so it didn't have a huge amount of traction. But I think what is really difficult for Meghan to swallow is that when she became a royal, The Tig was pretty much ready to skyrocket to stardom. Imagine the idea of a royal family member actively blogging what they're doing on the weekends, sharing images of what they're eating for dinner, a selfie of her and Harry when they get engaged. It would have gone absolutely crazy. And I think what Meghan's trying to do with As Ever is recapture some of that potential. Things are very different now than they were many years ago when she and Harry got engaged and she X'd all of her social media. But I think what Meghan is hoping to do is provide a modern day version of what The Tig was. Still, it's going to be really difficult for her, I think, to overcome the barriers that she's put up between then and now. She's going to have to be a lot more candid than she's been willing to in the past. And I think we are starting to see hints of that. She's maybe starting to understand that she can't get away with simply preaching at people. No one is really looking at Meghan Markle as an expert in her field. She's a pretty new business owner, she's a pretty new podcaster, and she's a pretty new reality star. So no one's turning to her as the be-all and end-all of how to do these things. What they are turning to her for is gossip about her and Harry, intimate details about what's going on behind closed doors, and cute anecdotes about their children, Archie and Lily. Maybe, don't hold your breath, a photo of Archie and Lily where you can actually see their faces, something that we have yet to be given by either Harry or Meghan. Now, Meghan in the past has been very, very reluctant to kind of get personal. She has really shied away from sharing anything too detailed about what goes on at her life at home. Since she started talking about her Netflix show, however, since she started preparing to launch As Ever, we have seen her start to kind of eke out some of these more special details. We've had far more images of Archie and Lilibet, albeit from the back. We've had some details about what they're eating for breakfast, videos of them baking in their kitchen at home. And I think Meghan is slowly starting to realize that that is what is going to push her over the edge. It's that candidness that is going to make people want to buy her jam, want to listen to her podcast, and want to watch her Netflix show. Without those personal details, she's just another businesswoman trying to make it in a very saturated market. Now, Meghan also touched upon another hurdle that she's had to cross in the business world recently when she changed the name of her brand from the American Riviera Orchard, snappy, to As Ever. I'm not sure anyone knows what that means, but at least I'm able to pronounce it. Now, Meghan ran into trademark issues with American Riviera Orchard and slightly embarrassingly had to change the name after making a bit of a fanfare over its launch. We had an Instagram account, we had some secretive messages about what we could expect from the brand, we had some very artistic Instagram images, and then lo and behold, Meghan announced the name had changed. Now, during her podcast, she bizarrely likened this to naming a baby. She effectively said that when you are deciding what to call your baby, you shouldn't tell anyone what you're going to call it until that baby is born and its name has officially been given to it. I'm not sure how trademark issues relate to giving birth, but Meghan's the business expert here, so I'll leave that to her. Meghan also talked about her other role, this time as a business mentor. She's kind of landed herself right smack bang in the middle in this podcast, playing almost every single role possible. She's the founder of a business, talking to the founder of bigger businesses who she's going to for advice, but then she's also a mentor to other women who have smaller businesses. Effectively, Meghan has invested in a couple of small businesses over the years, and she talked about how she goes into that role as a mentor. She said that she never tries to dilute a person's brand, effectively hinting that she's not there to kind of railroad these people, and that what she wants to do is uplift them to be the best that they can possibly be without giving too much of herself in the creative process. Speaking of female entrepreneurs, Meghan's guest on the finale of season 1 of her podcast was none other than Sarah Blakely, who founded the infamous shapewear brand Spanx. But Sarah's not just making Spanx these days. She's also making sneaks. That's SNEEX, otherwise known as the sneaker heel. Potentially the last product to ever be needed on this planet. Still, it fostered a very interesting conversation between Sarah and Meghan, who were talking about Meghan's pregnancy way back in 2019 before she and Harry left the royal family. Now, Meghan announced with much fanfare that she was expecting her first child, who ended up being a beautiful baby boy named Archie. But Sarah pointed to pictures that were taken of Meghan towards the end of her third trimester, in which she could be seen attending official engagements while wearing some pretty high stiletto heels. Meghan joked that she didn't really know how she managed to get about without toppling over forwards. She said that she was carrying all of the weight of the pregnancy on her front and did believe at times that she was just going to lean forward and fall flat on her face. She joked that she had to constantly grip Harry's arm for support and made sure to tell him on multiple occasions not to let her fall over. Meghan also opened up about the way in which her body changed during pregnancy, revealing that she actually gained 65 pounds through pregnancy with Archie and again when she was pregnant with Lilibet. Now, it's a bit of an interesting dynamic between the two pregnancies because when Meghan was expecting Archie, she was out and about in front of the cameras pretty much every day. Whether she was attending official engagements, having her baby shower in New York City with Serena Williams and all of her other celebrity pals, she was in front of the cameras day in, day out. However, after she got pregnant with Lilibet, people barely saw her. There was one very sweet photo shoot taken via Zoom, if I remember correctly, at the couple's Montecito home. They shared those images in order to announce the pregnancy, but after that, we didn't really see much of Meghan until Lilibet was born. And even then, we have yet to see a picture of Lilibet's face in recent history. Now, we've talked a lot about Meghan's business ventures, but wait, she's not done. She's also revealed in a recent interview that she may be angling to make an appearance in the fashion industry. When Meghan originally filed her trademark requests for American Riviera Orchard, fashion items were included on that. She did homeware, food, clothing, you name it, it was on the trademark application. But since the release of As Ever, Meghan's kind of stuck towards kitchen-focused items, namely jam, flour sprinkles, honey, that kind of thing. But she did say that somewhere in the future, she would love to kind of venture into fashion and perhaps start designing her own clothes. So you never know. It could be the year of the Meghan sweatshirt in 2026, or who knows, maybe there'll be a cape and a crown involved in her designs. Now, it's interesting that Meghan is talking about her fashionable future because reports were emerging about a so-called rift between Meghan and her former, current, who really knows, pal, Edward Enninful, who is the editor of British Vogue. Now, rumors have emerged that Meghan was meant to do a cover shoot for British Vogue in 2022. That she and Edward were having conversations about it, that it was supposed to be tied to a big event that Meghan was taking part in September of that year, and that conversations were underway about what the shoot would entail. Now, sources have said that Meghan was very relaxed about the whole thing, was open to hearing what Edward imagined for the cover, but that the people she had representing her, her publicists, her stylists, all of that kind of thing, were much more specific about what she would need in order to make this cover work. And in the end, Edward simply said it was too much trouble. He is understood to have already had a cover image lined up and felt that going through the motions with Meghan's team was simply too difficult in order to make something work. Now, reports are kind of variable as to how this whole thing panned out. Some insiders have said that the two of them are still on bad terms. Others have said that they've managed to repair their relationship. But I've got to tell you, if Meghan hopes to make a go of it in fashion, she's probably going to want the head honchos at Vogue on her side.